everyone, it's me, Robert, back for another review. Yes, today I will not be reviewing a figure, I'm going to be reviewing a comic. And why? Now, normally when I'm reviewing comics, I'd be doing it on the podcast, Iaconic Reviews. But this comic is different. I very much doubt we'll review this on the podcast. Also, go and check out the podcast, by the way. Just uploaded Escalation, the first review, so go and check that one out. It's quite good. But yeah, the comic I'm reviewing today is the worst Transformers comic IDW has ever published. That being Transformers Continuum. What is Continuum, and why am I talking about it? Basically, Continuum, it was designed to be a guide when the ongoing came out. For anyone that hadn't read all of the previous Transformers comics, a way to get up to date with what had happened. Except, it didn't work. The concept of it is brilliant, but the actual implication of it, it's not worked. This book, this comic, is terrible. It takes the IDW timeline, puts it in a blender, and then decides to print it in a book and thinks it'll be fine for people to read. It has so many errors. It has at least an error per page of the timeline. It is absolutely ridiculous. Stuff in this takes place, and then later on in the book they say, oh well, they retcon it. For instance, Grimlock. It talks about Grimlock being discovered by Skywatch, and then a couple of pages later it talks about him being uncovered by them. What? I'm sorry? What? Also, it doesn't have any mention of Machination in here. It says that the Machination is Skywatch. That's completely wrong. Skywatch and Machination are two completely different organisations in IDW's Transformers. It completely misses out Jimmy Pink, who was one of the three main human characters throughout the Asian series. It just absolutely... And it's strange because there's even a picture of him in this book. The way that the pages are laid out, you get images from the different comics with a little bit of blurb about them. But it's completely wrong. Jimmy Pink is there, the blonde one, and yet this book says that he doesn't exist in the Transformers universe. What? I'm sorry, what? Stuff like it says that Megatron was a slave. That's not true. He was an Energon miner who got sacked and then got into an argument and killed a guy by accident and then got put in jail and escaped. Megatron Origins, that is. But it's just ridiculous. It has Stormbringer. Stormbringer in this is completely wrong. First of all, it says that directly after defeating Thunderwing, they go back to Cybertron and defeat him for a second time. That's completely wrong. There is a gap about 100 years between the two. And then it says that they defeat Thunderwing on Nebulos. That's not true at all. He goes to Nebulos, attacks the planet and completely devastates it, but then returns to Cybertron where Prime and the Wreckers deal with him. I mean, what? It's just terrible. It absolutely is. It glosses over so much. It doesn't have any of the Avengers, Transformers crossovers, but to be honest, I can understand why. It wasn't exactly a great series. It completely glosses over Escalation. I mean, you've got like a page about Escalation, and that's it. It doesn't have, I've just realised this, it doesn't have anything to do with Spotlight Optimus Prime. It's not in here, which is strange because that's quite a crucial spotlight. I mean, that's how Prime found out that it was Nova Prime who's out there in the dead universe. So it's just weird, very weird. The artwork is fine because the artwork is just reprints from the different trades. And the artwork on the front I quite like. It's quite a nice picture of everything that's happened, but it's just bad, and especially when it says the definitive chronology, the definitive timeline. It's not at all the definitive timeline. This is far from the definitive timeline. Now, it was written by Andy Schmidt, and I have never heard him do any other Transformers work apart from this, which makes you wonder why they got someone like him to write up a book about Transformers timelines. You know, if he's never done anything before, it may not be a great idea to go and put him on a book in which you have to know basically every ins and outs of the universe. You have to know why that happens and what reason. Because in Transformers IDW, everything happens because of something. You can follow characters' paths all the way back to the very beginning. Now, yes, this was came out at the time of the ongoing, so it doesn't have any of the ongoing stuff or any of the recent stuff, but it also doesn't have autocracy, monstrosity. It doesn't have certain flashbacks that we see in More Than Meets the Eye, but that's alright. If they had just got the actual chronological timeline of this right from what they had, it would have been great. But they don't. They get it completely and utterly wrong. It talks about Bludgeon and how it just messes up how he found out. Bludgeon was the one who reactivated Thunderwing, but in this it completely goes against that, which is strange. It says that there's no recorded data for Prime before he was a Prime. That's not true. There was quite a lot out at the time. It's just bad, basically. You don't have anything such as Spotlight. You don't have Spotlight Drift in here, do you? No, you don't have Spotlight Drift, Spotlight Metroplex. You don't have Spotlight Cliff Jumper. You've got like a page for All Hail Megatron, considering it was 12 issues. It's just strange. It really is strange. And as well, also, Nova Prime. They say that he had the Heart of Darkness. That's not true. It was just called the Darkness. It was never called the Heart of Darkness. It's so weird. This is bad. I would not recommend this book to anyone. If you are someone who has read More Than Meets the Eye or RID and you're just getting into Transformers comics, avoid this comic book at any cost. I mean, if for some odd reason, if you still see it in a comic book shop, because this is quite old now and you probably have to hunt this down to get it, but if you see this in a comic book shop, just don't pick it up. Don't go near it, okay? Your best, safest bet is to get the collections that they did, IDW's collections. They're brilliant. Or look up an official timeline, or start with Megatron Origins, because that's probably where I would say for anyone to start IDW. But do not pick up this book, because you will be confused as hell with this book. For someone who knows quite a lot about the IDW universe, someone who's read everything in IDW, it's terrible. It is absolutely bad. And the weird thing is, in the back, it has a reading list of which order to read it in, and this is actually correct. This is really good, actually, because it's got all of the spotlights in here, and it's got them all in order. It's just... what? I mean, did, like, Andy Smith write most of the book, and then for this 2 pages they just thought, oh, we'll get another artist in, or we'll get another writer in to actually do these 2 pages? Because these 2 pages are the best bit of the book. I mean, if you wanted to get this, that was the only reason why I would say get this book for this timeline. But you can find this on the internet, to be honest, and you don't need to go and buy this for it, because the rest of this book is just crap. It truly is a piece of... oh, jeez, it's horrible. How can I can't really, in words, describe how bad this is. But yeah, this reading order is great, because it starts off Megatron Origins all the way up to the ongoing. And this is brilliant. And then at the back you've got some trade paperbacks, but to be honest, like, who then? And then you've got a bit at the end of the writer. Don't pick up this book. Just no, don't pick up, okay? If there's any comic book not to pick up, it's that. And not because it's a bad story. This doesn't have story. This is just a timeline. It's not like I would also say, like, don't pick up Heart of Darkness, but that's purely because of story based. This is because of how it interprets the IDW universe, which is completely utter bullshit, to be honest. So avoid it at all costs. That has been my review. I only wanted to do this quickly. I don't want to ramble on about this. There are other reviews of this. Go and check them out. Quite a few, 2 people I know of have done reviews of this, and they've actually gone through the book and listed all the errors in their reviews. Go and check them out if you're interested, because they're quite good reviews. I'm not going to do this here because I'll go on for hours, but just avoid it. Don't get this. Just don't. Cool. Well, I will see you all next time for another review. Until then, bye guys.